In the spring of 1887, a young woman named Clara Whitmore lived with her aunt in a quiet village in England. Clara was 21 years old. She was kind, intelligent, and loved reading books. Although her family had once been wealthy, difficult times had changed their lives. After her parents died, Clara and her aunt lived modestly in a small cottage near the edge of the village. Clara did not complain about her simple life. She enjoyed tending flowers in the garden, walking through the countryside, and helping her neighbors whenever she could. Still, she sometimes wondered what her future would be. Most young women her age were already married or preparing for marriage. Clara had received a few offers, but she had never met anyone she truly loved. One sunny morning, Clara was working in her garden when she noticed a horse-drawn carriage stop near the large manor house at the end of the road. The manor had been empty for several years. Curious villagers soon learned that a wealthy gentleman had purchased the property. His name was William Ashford. He was 28 years old and had recently returned from London after inheriting the estate from his uncle. For several days, Clara heard people talking about him. Some said he was handsome. Others said he was serious and reserved. Clara paid little attention. Wealthy gentlemen rarely noticed ordinary women like her. A week later, Clara was walking through the village market when she accidentally dropped a basket filled with apples. The apples rolled across the street in every direction. Embarrassed, she quickly tried to collect them. Suddenly, a man knelt beside her and picked up several apples. "Allow me to help," he said politely. Clara looked up and saw a tall young man with kind eyes and dark hair. "Thank you," she replied. He handed her the apples with a warm smile. "You're welcome." Before Clara could ask his name, a nearby shopkeeper called out, "Good morning, Mr. Ashford." Clara immediately realized who he was. William smiled politely and continued on his way. Clara watched him disappear into the crowd. Their meeting lasted less than a minute, but she found herself thinking about it for the rest of the day. Several days later, Clara visited the village church to help arrange flowers for an upcoming event. To her surprise, William was there speaking with the pastor. When he saw Clara, he smiled in recognition. "The apples are safe today, I hope," he joked. Clara laughed softly. Thankfully, yes. They spoke for only a few moments, but the conversation felt easy and natural. As the weeks passed, they met several more times. Sometimes in the village, sometimes near the church, sometimes during community events. Each conversation lasted a little longer than the last. Clara discovered that William was not proud or arrogant like some wealthy men. He was thoughtful, intelligent, and genuinely interested in other people. William learned that Clara loved literature and gardening. Clara learned that William enjoyed painting and often spent hours exploring the countryside. One afternoon, William noticed Clara reading alone beneath a large oak tree near the village. He approached and asked about her book. Soon they were discussing stories and poetry. Hours passed without either noticing. When Clara finally returned home, her aunt smiled knowingly. "You seem very happy today," she said. Clara blushed and tried to change the subject. Yet she knew her aunt was right. As summer arrived, Clara and William spent more time together. They walked through gardens, attended village festivals, and shared long conversations. For the first time in her life, Clara felt truly understood. William listened carefully whenever she spoke. He respected her opinions and admired her kindness. Gradually, friendship began turning into something deeper. However, not everyone approved of their growing closeness. Some people in the village believed William should marry a wealthy woman from an important family. Others whispered that Clara was not suitable for a man of his social position. Clara tried to ignore the gossip, but it hurt her. One evening, after hearing another cruel comment, she decided it would be best to avoid William for a while. She convinced herself it was the sensible thing to do. The next few weeks felt surprisingly lonely. William noticed her distance immediately. One afternoon, he found Clara sitting alone in her garden. "Have I done something wrong?" he asked gently. Clara shook her head. "No." "Then why are you avoiding me?" Clara looked down at her hands. Finally, she spoke honestly. "People talk, William. They say we come from different worlds. They say someone like you should marry, someone far more important than, William was silent for a moment. Then he smiled sadly. "Do you know what I think?" Clara looked up. "What?" William stepped closer. "I think people spend far too much time worrying about what others expect." Clara felt her heart beating faster. William continued. "I don't care about titles, wealth, or social position. I care about the person standing in front of me." Tears filled Clara's eyes. No one had ever spoken to her that way before. From that day forward, neither of them paid attention to the rumors. Their bond continued growing stronger. Autumn arrived, painting the countryside with beautiful shades of gold and red. One evening, William invited Clara to visit the gardens of the manor house. The sunset filled the sky with warm colors as they walked among the flowers. Eventually, William stopped beside a beautiful rose bush. A single red rose bloomed there. He carefully picked it and handed it to Clara. "Do you remember the first time we met?" he asked. Clara smiled. "The apples?" William laughed. "Yes, I knew immediately that you were different." Clara felt her cheeks grow warm. William took a deep breath. "Clara, these past months have been the happiest of my life. Every conversation, every walk, every moment with you has meant more than I can explain." Her heart raced as he gently took her hand. "I don't want to imagine a future without you in it." Clara could barely breathe. "William," he looked into her eyes. "I love you, Clara Whitmore. Will you marry me?" Tears of happiness filled her eyes. For a moment she could not speak. Then she smiled and nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I will." William's face filled with joy. He slipped a ring onto her finger as the last light of sunset shone across the garden. Several months later, the village celebrated their wedding. The church was filled with flowers, music, and smiling faces. Even those who had doubted them could see how deeply they loved one another. Years later, visitors to the manor house often admired the beautiful rose garden. Few knew the story behind it. But every spring, when the roses bloomed, Clara remembered the evening when a simple flower became a promise of forever. She had once worried that love might never find her. Instead, it arrived when she least expected it, proving that the greatest stories are often written not by wealth or status, but by two hearts choosing each other despite every obstacle.